Welcome to the Take 148 podcast, produced by 148 Films. Join us as we explore video production, creative storytelling, and the real stories behind the lens.
About to get real good.
Idris Garcia, welcome to your own studio.
So glad to be here.
So I was telling Skip when we recorded, I guess it's been 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
We decided together, it was like, if this totally busts, we'll just do it again. But should this be decent enough to see the light of day?
Yeah.
Well, we've got a podcast in the bag. And I think after we finished, we both agreed, hey, that wasn't a train wreck.
Yeah.
This thing will go. So it's pretty exciting. I remember a picture that we took while we were building this place. And I remember the look on your face because you were looking at the camera. Your face was like, I'm done with this room. I think we were trying to hang this wall treatment or something. And you were sitting in one of those leather chairs in that first gen studio, just like, it's time to go home. We will do this. We'll pick it up tomorrow. So,
I am notoriously not handy. And I learned, I think, during that build, proudly not handy. I told Skip, I was like, dude, I love doing this for you, and I'm so glad that I'm a part of it with you, as your friend and obviously member of the team. I was like, I have no desire to take any of these skills home. I understand why I'm not handy, and I appreciate the people that have taken the time to learn their craft, and I'm happy to call them up when I need it done.
Nonetheless, it was fun to look back on the experience. But yeah, there were days where it was there are a few things I'd rather be doing than stripping vinyl flooring that is glued to the concrete slab, or fill-in project here. But that was an interesting couple months of the build. So, well, hey, let me introduce you. So this is totally off the cuff.
Sure.
Idris Garcia, creative film director for 148 Films. So we'll get into some of the details, but in your own words, what does creative film director mean?
Man, like any small business, it's just hats. You're just stacking hats on your head, whatever the team needs or whatever Skip needs. And I think kind of where it has landed is handling a lot of pre-production in terms of being involved with concept conversations, helping to pull together, pieces of a production that are going to move on production day. It's not necessarily being behind the camera a whole lot because we have so much talent in that area that, I feel comfortable just trying to support them and, give them whatever tools they need to feel successful that day and to feel like they can just do what they do best and make it all look fantastic. So I would say mostly it's just a lot of creative direction on the front end of a production and of course just as the piece is kind of being finalized, putting notes and things like that on the finished product and just trying to keep everyone happy, whether it's our team or whatever partner that we're working with. It's a lot of fun and it's creative.
I like it. So before we get too deep, because you mentioned pre-production, I'm calling this pre-production research on whatever the guest is in the studio here with me today. So let's do some pre-production research on Idris Garcia. Last full book you read or audiobook you listened to, because that's a thing now.
It is, and I haven't really gone that route yet.
Okay.
I kind of stick to traditional podcasts, but maybe audiobook is the way to go because I've wanted to read more. It's by David Sedaris. I can't remember if I read Calypso last or one of his other books, but it's a David Sedaris work.
And what's the storyline? What's the premise there?
Yeah, so he's actually a short story slash essay writer. So he is a humorist as well. So he's incredibly funny, and just so talented. I respect his mind and creativity so much. I mean, he just writes about his life. I mean, he seems like one of those people that just has stuff happen to them that you think is ridiculous. Like it couldn't happen to anyone else. But also, I'm sure that's just his creativity in embellishing the details of his life to, you know, make you laugh and make you think. And, you know, he goes into family and things like that. So it could get deep at points. You know, we all have had hard moments in our lives, and family dynamics are difficult to navigate, you know, for all of us. And so, you know, he weaves that in, and it's just like, oh, where is this going? And then you like find yourself laughing out loud. And I really respect his writing style and just his commitment to being present in his world and observing what's going on around him and asking people funny questions to try and get them to have a conversation that later lands in his diary and then in a book, you know. So that's just a lot. I know that's a lot of words, but I really just admire him as a writer.
Is this the guy where you got the goat question from?
Yeah.
Was that our Christmas party?
It
that
was,
what?
yeah.
Okay, it's all coming back to me. I'll have to put that name on the author list for sure. All right, favorite road trip gas station snack?
Ooh, probably sunflower seeds for sure. I guess it's not really like much of a snack because it doesn't fill you up, you know, that sort of thing. But
Sure.
I mean, 100% sunflower seeds. I mean, it kind of like helps entertain you as a snack, you know. And I like cracked black pepper. I'm a little too adventurous with flavors sometimes, where I'm like, oh, I just want to try something totally off the wall that I've never tried before. Usually, it's not worth it. Like, stick to what you know. In that case, crack black pepper.
What are you getting to drink?
Man, I love Coke. But sometimes when I try and behave a little bit, I'll I'll go with a green tea, which
Okay.
like still, if you look at like the sugar content, you're like, I didn't do much better, but I feel a little better because it's like a see-through liquid as opposed to just like this brown
dark
sludge
brown.
that you're just
Mhm.
consuming. So
Fair enough. All right, if you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, living or dead, I should put it that way, who would it be? What would the conversation be about?
wow.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd be curious to kind of hear, I would say like Bad Bunny or Residente's story. There are a couple of like Puerto Rican music artists, and listen, if you listen to their music, don't judge me for the things that they say sometimes. But there's just they've kind of come to this place, and I think Residente's been there a little longer of like being really intentional about like the history and the culture of Puerto Rico. And so I would just be interested to hear like their perspective on how they got there, cuz like some of their music is like not about that at all, and it's a little out there and a little crazy. And so it's like, what made you kind of choose to, you know, go a little bit more of a, well, you know, for lack of a better term, like patriotic route, or like what made you want to like, I don't know, protect your culture in a way. Yeah, so I would just be interested to hear from them.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's insightful. All right, last question. What's something people might be surprised to learn about you?
I mean, maybe at first, at first, I feel like the first time people hear me speak Spanish, they're a little like, "Whoa, what happened?"
That was true for me.
Yeah.
The first
So
time
I
we
feel
had
like that's an easy answer of like the first time it happens, people are like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's different," because I don't sound like it.
No. Nope.
But I learned both. I mean, at the same time when I was probably around 5-ish or so. So I guess if you learn it early enough, I guess you're just kind of like know them both.
It's just there.
Yeah, it's just
Second nature.
Yeah.
Man. I never got anywhere close to being bilingual. The closest language that some people might say is acceptable to that would be music, but even so, hardly fluent in the language of music, which is a beautiful thing, all on its own, but nonetheless. All right, so let's roll back the clock. Early days. Tell me about little Idris, family life growing up. Like what all did that look like from the early days? Give us a snapshot of little Idris.
Yeah. I mean, I get my card revoked, I think, if I don't mention it off the front, that I'm Puerto Rican. So that's why I mentioned those two artists earlier. And
the bilingual piece.
Yeah. So it's clearly had, a huge impact on my life, and it feels like a daily piece of me. And I think what that looked like growing up was definitely like a close-knit family. We got along well, and we traveled a lot together, and experienced things together. We moved away from Puerto Rico when I was about 5, and I think since then there's maybe 1 or 2 years that I haven't been back. So we're constantly going back, constantly, continuing to keep those relationships alive with family. I still have grandparents there and some older family, and so yeah, mom would drop me off at daycare, and one of her aunts would pick me up, or something like that. So it's just been a lot of family is important to us, and I so appreciate that. Now, having a wife and son, just seeing how important it is to just cultivate those relationships in your own home, and also introduce them to, your own past and experiences, and just growing together that way. So I would say early life was just fun, man. I mean, my parents encouraged me to be outside a lot, so it was running around with friends outside. It was playing baseball or wiffle ball, I should say, in the cul-de-sac with my brothers. It was, dinner with the family, at night, like no screens in front of us, just, the 5 of us around a table, dog trying to get up there too. But so, yeah, I mean, I would say those are kind of like the experiences that stand out.
So would you say baseball was pretty formative for you as far as like your passions growing up? Was there anything else that competed for your time, passion wise?
Man, not a ton. As a kid, yeah. I mean, baseball was pretty much what I loved and looked forward to the most, and in terms of like extracurriculars and sports. I starting in coach pitch, and then we did the like machine pitch where you would like stick it in the little machine, and it would like lob it to you.
I
and
forgot
then,
about
yeah,
that.
Yeah. So,
man.
Yeah. So go way back with the baseball, and then, I mean, played up until a sophomore year of high school, and then, man, like interests change and things happen. So I ended up leaving baseball my sophomore year of high school. Something I wish I hadn't done looking back on it, but I did. And then actually it was cool coming to college at UTC here in Chattanooga. There was like a freshman dodgeball event. I guess is like a, get to know each other social thing. And so I'm playing dodgeball, and I get out, and I sit on the wall, and this guy sits over next to me. He's like, "You a baseball player?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "Well, we got a club team here. It's pretty chill. It's we're just having a good time. Nothing crazy. We got tryouts this day." And so I got to play 2 more years of baseball for the club team at UTC. So
Okay.
yeah, played. I wrestled in high school too. I've played tons of recreational volleyball. I was a very bad basketball player. So I've tried different things, but I would say baseball for sure was like the rock.
Very cool. Well, I mean, it's hard to beat America's pastime.
Yeah.
And for anybody that wants to fight me on that, I think baseball is still America's pastime. But, football's wedged its way in there.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I mean, I didn't know football was really a thing until like high school. To be honest, I mean, it's not something that you hear a lot about in Puerto Rico, and so like I didn't grow up around it. Whereas like baseball is a huge thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that has something to do with it too. It's become very popular in Latin America, and football football does dominate here. But
For sure. All right, so shifting gears, can you look back, maybe it's during that time at UTC, and define a moment where you went from the Idris, the baseball playing Idris, to the creative film director Idris? Like, fast forward to where we are now. Like, is there a time you can look back and be like, this was where I took a hard right turn and began to study X, or went on to, and here we are now. Like,
yeah, sports. I mean, it definitely didn't happen in college. Sports was a big part of my life and a big interest, and I mean, media was a big interest. I liked to write and didn't have a ton of like experience in what it looked like, to create video media or be like a sports broadcaster. So writing was a big focus, right? So I took the communications path at UTC um, with the intention of like wanting to start with writing sports. And so I actually got an internship with the Chattanooga Times Free Press. My senior year, we were required to have an internship before we graduated. So I got to do that, and I wrote for the sports section here locally, which was just cool, man. I mean, especially when you're like in your 20s and you got a byline in the local paper. Like,
absolutely.
we're how many years later, like it probably means a little less but because
you're a
of
published writer.
yeah, but like at the time, like it was, I would say this was pre like newspapers are dying, it was like the world's on fire. But so like it still was like just cool to like be able to pick up the physical copy of the paper and like see my name there. And so I would say like that was the path. And I worked doing some video for the wrestling team at UTC. So I did get exposed to video. I see now I was not good at it at all. But
Everybody starts somewhere.
yeah, you start somewhere. And I honestly just never really like got to latch onto a mentor in that regard, which I think was just the thing that probably kept me from like going that way earlier, because the video did interest me. Obviously, it was just like I didn't like have someone to help me grow in that. And some people are good at doing that on their own, and
Sure.
I'm just not that person. So being able to like be at the paper and have people around me that have been doing it for years that were like marking up my stories or saying, hey, we actually do it this way or that way, it was cool. So it never got to be a full-time job, unfortunately. But I mean, I wrote super regularly, was doing football games in the fall. I was in charge of soccer and tennis in the spring at a certain point while I was there. So really cool experiences, and awesome dudes that worked there that really like helped live out a part of my dream. It didn't end up working out that way career wise, but I got to do it.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people get to say that. And so I would say the hard right turn that you were asking about earlier definitely happened. I started working at a disc golf manufacturer, which disc golf is a huge passion of mine. And so I started working there, and just I had a little bit of marketing experience in the job before that. And they kind of were like, well, why don't you, could you kind of lend a little bit of help in that area of our company? There was a guy that was doing it all by himself, and it could be overwhelming. There's a lot of things to worry about when you're doing marketing. And so he kept passing things onto my plate, and it was just cool to get the opportunity to kind of try and drive ideas and drive concepts. And I was still doing some copywriting for them as well. But I, eventually like started getting to connect with videographers that, the company was working with as contractors, and help like kind of steer the vision of like what we wanted to see on video. So I would say that was the turning point, was just getting to do that, that part of my job.
So talk to me about when, where, and how you met Skip.
Oh,
And then like, because we might be backtracking a little bit, right? Into the college days. And then like what that kind of parallel journey looked like, because you went a professional route for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you and I are both here under the 148 name.
Mm-hmm.
So like, talk about that meeting Skip and how your friendship grew and like what that relationship looked like. Because as I understand it, you might be the one responsible for introducing Skip to some editing skills and whatnot. So I'd love to hear from your mouth.
Yeah. Skip and I met on the volleyball court. That's how we met. There is a housing, on-campus housing called Lockmiller there at UTC. And it's one building that is just us mere mortals. And then there's a volleyball court. And then there's another section of Lockmiller that was the honors students. And so right there in the middle was that volleyball court. Lockmiller itself is like a very social, like every little apartment has like a balcony there, so you can like look out and see people. And so that's like what I loved about living there. It got a rap of being like probably the crappiest housing, but it was the best. I mean, I would have not have rather been anywhere else because you could interact with people and like kind of dive right into the college experience. And so, people always out on the balconies. People always playing volleyball. I mean, there were nights, there was one little light on the side of the building, and we would be out there some nights till 2 a.m. Genuinely. Just playing under that one little light.
On a school night?
On a school night. I know. Unbelievable. Priorities, right? Don't worry. I graduated with like honors, I think. So I made it. So, we would just be out there for hours, playing beach volleyball. There were like some guys that would come that were not students at all and play. It was just, I don't know, it was community and connection. And so we played volleyball together casually. Eventually that turned into like intramural volleyball together. And then, throughout that time, we became good friends in general. We played other intramural sports together. We would hang out. I moved into a house with 5 other dudes. We were 6 total, which was right off campus. And, Skip would come over and hang with us, play some Super Smash Brothers. Skip was actually between houses at one point, so he slept on our couch.
Nice.
Which, gives you more time to play Super Smash Brothers. I think I need to make this an official petition to bring back the churro at Taco Bell. There was a time where they had churros, and I think the traditional consumption of a churro is like churro with like this nice chocolate sauce. Mm-hmm. And so our version of that as college students was we would go to Taco Bell and get a churro, and then go to the Wendy's right across the street and get a chocolate frosty. So we would dip the churro in the chocolate frosty.
No way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And that became like a nightly ritual.
Plus Super Smash Brothers.
Plus Super Smash Brothers. Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Sleep optional.
Yes, absolutely. And so we became good friends. He got a job working at the zoo, and during the summer, he asked so he was in charge of the summer camp, and he asked if I wanted to be a camp counselor. And so I worked for Skip in a different capacity at the zoo under him as a camp counselor, did that for a few years. And then, he, go back and listen to the story of how 148 started, because as 148 started, he approached me and was like, hey, I know you've done sort of some of this stuff for the wrestling team. What are kind of some of your tips and tricks? And I was like, well, I mean, I found this software. It's like Final Cut, and I've enjoyed using it so far, and this is kind of how I do it. And, and it's really funny thinking about that now, just coming back probably close to 10 years later. And yeah, he's got all the tips and tricks now. There's not much that I had to offer when I came back of like, actually, I think you should do it this way. He has all the tips and tricks. It's been really cool to see the company grow. I probably did one of his first weddings with him. And, did a couple early weddings for 148.
Do you remember timeline? Like when about that might have been year-wise?
No, I don't, because I know he's did photo at first. So after he kind of transitioned to video for the first time, I helped second shoot a little bit, and then actually led a couple weddings, which I found out very quickly is not my calling.
Yep, those events tend to do that. They weed people out naturally. Like you find out pretty quickly.
It's just a lot of pressure, and
is.
I mean, it's one of the most important days of people's lives. And now, doing what I'm doing now, it's like, cut. That was a bad take. Let's do it again. You're not doing that during a wedding,
No.
No. And so, I mean, the job got done. I don't feel like, anybody's wedding video was.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah,
Clients
I
are
hope.
satisfied.
But yeah, it just wasn't like the environment that I enjoyed to work under. And that's not, nothing negative about anybody in particular. It's just
Sure.
my personal skill set.
Yeah.
And so, so I came back, did a couple weddings, still not fully into like video world, still like kind of on my own little career path on the side. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I had a kid. And I was driving to Dalton, Georgia every day, and I was leaving pretty close to after he woke up, and then I was coming home pretty close to when he was about to go to bed. And, that led to a lot of conversations with my wife, and it led to a lot of conversations of like, what is it worth missing? And the answer is probably nothing. And so, I don't know. I've never asked him if this was like something that he had been plotting in his mind, or if we just went to lunch randomly, because he just randomly asked me to go to lunch one day. He's like, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm just thinking about what I want to do. Do I want to pursue more flexibility where I'm at now? Is it going to require a full-on change? And Skip was like, well, I'm looking to grow the team. And the rest is history. I ended up here.
Wild.
I ended up back here. Yeah. So again, I don't know if it was like a planned, like him trying to recruit me, or if it just worked out that his plan fit into kind of where I was at in my life stage. But
man, well, the conversation we had together a couple weeks ago with Skip was like this idea of obedience. When he came to know the Lord, like he was just all ahead full in prayer and seeking after the Lord's will in his life, whatever that looked like, including the business. And I think you and I have like both seen, you've certainly seen it firsthand from the foundation of the company. But like, I think Skip has that intuition. Really, I think it's obedience to the Lord who's nudging him in certain directions. But it's a beautiful thing to see because clearly, the Lord's at work in 148, and it's fun to be along for the ride. I mean, that's what we are. We're along for the ride. We're working and praying through it, and just grateful for the opportunity to do what we do.
And it's cool to be alongside him in that journey as well. I mean, again, I'm sure he told you the story, and so I won't rehash it all, but I get to be see that transformation in him as well. I mean, whether it was just like chatting in the back of his beloved Bronco that he so misses still.
Yep.
Or like we would do like 3 or 4 person Bible studies in a crystal at like 9 p.m. and he just knew that he needed to start somewhere, right? It's like you said, he went in on it, and so it was cool. It's cool to like be part of that early journey of his as well. And I mean, he has impacted me as a mentor in that realm as well, spiritually, and so it's cool to like see the beginning point, see how he's kind of affected me, and then now just be in it with him day to day, right? So yeah, it's cool to see like the different threads in both of our lives and our paths finally like just reconnect here, a couple years ago.
Yep. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And I imagine it has many years ahead.
Totally. That's probably it's probably another podcast of its own.
So here we are. If you're listening to this podcast, we're recording it on March the 7th of 2025. I almost said 2024.
I saw someone write it the other day. They like signed a piece of paper and they were like 2024. I was like, I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, we're a little past the 2024 window, but nonetheless. So tell me what. So we're sitting here in the present day. Technically, we are in year 11 of 148 Films, which is wild. Because in my mind, that's a really young company. Like when you look at the growth over time, like I think about where I was 10 years ago when Skip started things. And to me, that doesn't feel like very long, but he's been able to do so much. So like in your world today, what excites you most about coming to work and the kinds of work we do now? Cause it feels like to me, we continue to reach new milestones, unlock new opportunities. We get to meet, some really great, interesting people and work alongside them. So yeah, like what excites Idris Garcia about coming to work?
Man, I mean, first and foremost, the team, I would say. I mean, we've just gotten to gel together so well. And, I think the pieces of the puzzle have just like fit naturally in terms of like how people's strengths and weaknesses kind of complement each other. Like when the idea of the studio first came about, it was like, yeah, it'll be a hybrid work schedule, and I'm just here every day. It's because I want to be, right? I mean,
Right.
I enjoy it and I love it. I still get to like see my son more than I did, driving to Dalton. So it's, I've still get that family flexibility and the work-life balance. But yeah, I mean, I've just enjoyed the team so much, and it's cool to be around everybody, and it's fun to be creative. It's fun to just get to work together to bring a vision together and execute that. And whether we have chosen our partners well or whether the Lord has chosen them for us well, like, yeah, we've gotten to work with some awesome people in so many different industries, and just seeing so many different parts of our city and what makes it go. And it's cool to just learn people's stories and learn what their journey has been like and what has brought them to the place that they are now. Uh, and I think the team has like a healthy appreciation for growth. It doesn't feel like more. It feels like, what is the next step that we can take? How can we be better for ourselves or for each other or for our partners? It kind of just feels like growth has continued to be natural.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate Skip's mentality of 1% better.
Yeah.
The idea that we don't need any giant leaps at any one point in our growth. But as long as we're continuing to progress and do things just a little bit better, a little bit more efficient, the beauty of that is like growth happens naturally and without all the stresses of like trying to just explode onto the scene.
Yeah.
I think we're at a place where we feel established. Like there isn't this idea of having to prove ourselves every day. I mean, I think we try to prove ourselves to ourselves every day. But yeah, I appreciate that 1% growth idea.
Yeah, it feels like, milestones have come over the last couple of years, and those milestones have just, again, just felt natural. And
yeah, we're relational, like we say at our core, we want to build relationships and develop trust. And when the business mindset is secondary to that, I mean, you can't lose,
for sure.
especially with the right people, the right relationships. So I love it. So likely, hopefully, there are people in our industry, maybe just beginning, maybe looking to break into video production, the greater world that we're in. What's some advice, looking back on your experience, that you can give people that are really, in the beginning stages of looking at a career in the production space?
Yeah, I mean, back in my experiences, definitely, like, it's okay to be in the wrong place. You're gonna find yourself there. Whether it's a culture fit or the job that you're doing isn't quite what you thought it would be. Like, it's okay. I feel like we all have to go through growing pains in those regards. But also, I mean, again, I'm the type of person that kind of like thrives if I have someone to kind of help guide and mentor me. So I would say, I mean, seek that out. Seek out someone who has been doing it or who knows more than you do, and just try and gain some wisdom from that. And then, I mean, just do it. Just start. That's probably too cliche.
You are wearing the Nike swoosh there.
Yeah, that's right. So, like, Skip just started his company. I've seen other like creatives that like start somewhere. They start doing weddings or they start taking photos, and they're like, "Hey, I'm jumping in. I'm doing this full time now." I have friends that have started businesses, and they just it starts somewhere where they're doing it alongside another job, and then it becomes their full-time career. So just I would just say don't be afraid to be doing the wrong thing, or be doing or be in what you feel like is the wrong place, because just continue to kind of find the things that do make you happy and that you do appreciate, or the people that you do appreciate working with, and hopefully eventually doors open. I obviously can't guarantee anything for you, but
that's right. We are not currently hiring, but we're looking for interns, right? If you're interested, if you're local Chattanooga and you're listening to this sometime in the future, check our website. We're always looking for good people to intern. So I love it. Is there anything else that we've not talked about that you want to talk about? Like, if we can flip things for a minute, anything anything you want to bring up?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, this is great.
We've
This is
touched on a
fun.
lot.
Yeah. Sorry that I've like taken over and spoken probably too much, but
No, that's actually the idea. So this has been perfect. I definitely want to get you back in here. We're going to look at, diving deeper into some things we talked about today, some other topics, just building out the idea of a podcast here at 148 Studios. This is what we do for our clients. And so this is exciting. If you're listening to this, this is the second official podcast we have recorded as a team. So it's exciting times for sure. I mean, I appreciate you joining me and jumping on the mic and taking some time out of a Friday afternoon work week. So we will talk again soon. Thanks, man.
sounds good, David.